Hello World of Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger, and today I'm doing a full tank review on the T-34-2. You can see it here in the garage. This is a Chinese Tier 8 medium tank. As far as medium tanks go, it's not my favorite, but it does have some really nice characteristics, of that being 200 millimeters of frontal armor on the turret and a 122 millimeter gun, which you don't normally see on a medium tank, so it's good for really surprising people. Today's Sunday, December 9th, 2018, and as you know, my channel's kind of taken a turn here with the great nerfing in November, and a lot of my lower tier tank reviews have been left as historical reference as to what this game used to look like. But anyway, we are close to 3K subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing, and for those that aren't, please hit that subscribe button now. It is greatly appreciated. So, as I decide what to do with those lower tier tank reviews, I'm going to keep playing the tanks that I'm grinding on. So, T-34-2 is the tank I'm currently working on right now, but I wanted to take a look at the tech tree real quick. You're coming from the Type 58. You really got no choice coming up the Chinese line. And this is when the line splits out to mediums and heavies. Now, from my experience, and you can see where I'm at, the Chinese focus on armor and higher caliber guns. Both the medium and the heavy at tier 10 have 122 millimeter guns. So what I wanted to do is just go back to the T-34-1 and make a note here. If you wanted to, you could stick with this 85 millimeter gun, go straight to the T-34-2. I don't recommend that you do that. Grind your way all the way up to this 100 millimeter gun, because what that's going to do is when you get to the T-34-2, you will start right here with your 100 millimeter gun. And as you can see, there is a big difference here. 126 mil of pen on the 85 millimeter gun up to 184. So you can be competitive if you spend a little bit more time on the T-34-1 before rushing up to the T-34-2. And one of my downsides to this tank, if you look at this 184 pen on the 122 millimeter and a little bit better with 190 on the 100 millimeter top gun there, you're still going to have problems at tier 9 heavies. Here's an encounter with a 45-02B. You can see I've pulled out too far. With AP, that's nothing but red. With APCR on this 100 millimeter gun, it's still pretty much all red. I'm aiming for the cupola. Shows me the side, and I miss. So I wanted to just jump real quick into ammunition and equipment here. You can see running 22 rounds of AP, 12 rounds heat. Make sure you're buying that with the shell price button there. With credits, and 6 rounds of HE. As far as equipment goes, calibrated shells. I ran both the 100 and the 122 without calibrated shells, and it's a lost cause. Make sure you're running calibrated shells on this tank. Defense system, improved optics. I'm running enhanced gun lane drive, enhanced armor, engine accelerator, vertical stabilizer, and then I've skipped the last two there. Obviously with 200 millimeters on the front hull, 4% is really helping out there. Engine accelerator gives us a wide range of improvements there to the engine. The one that could be questionable depending upon your play style here is your enhanced gun lane drive or supercharge. If you're running the 100 millimeter, you might consider supercharge if you're more trying to snipe with this tank, although that's not how I would play it. And then the vertical stable versus the refined gun's going to get that dispersion down to 0.355, which is really not that good. So trying to be more aggressive in this tank, play up close, but yet hold down is kind of my play style on it at the moment. Alright guys, here we are on blitzstars.com. I've got the T-34 pulled up twice. The first one with the 122mm gun and the 100. Next to it, Panther 2, STA-1, Centurion, and the Type 59, which obviously is a premium tank. And really of the premium tanks, the T-34-3, and the Type 59 are kind of a mixed hybrid of this T-34-2. But what's going to stand out the most on this list here is our damage per minute. 1656 with the 122mm, so you have to be very careful. Obviously, getting in a brawling situation is tricky because you're going to be out DPM by any tier 8 medium tank there. You look at that Centurion at over 2,000, STA 2,100, Panther at 2,200. To be competitive on a one-on-one situation, you really have to run with the 100mm. But even then, you're still getting outgunned by all of these tanks. Now, the other downside is your pen is also a little bit lower, which is why I'm always recommending calibrated shells regardless of the gun that you're running. If you want to run this tank with a little fun twist, it's the 122 because you're going to get 400 alpha. Switch over to HE, you're going to get 500 with that. So it can be a fun tank to drive in that regard, just a little bit different than all of these other mediums. Aim time, obviously, on the 122 is the only other benefit really to this gun. Dispersion's pretty bad. Your movement dispersion is pretty bad. You've only got 5 degrees of negative gun depression. A lot of negative stats there with the weapon handling. As far as movement and mobility, the tank does move well. 0.8 on terrain resistance, going to help you getting up hills, accelerating, that type of stuff. And then really the last positive, when you look at the hull armor down there at the bottom, 70mm, it's obviously highly sloped, so you're going to get a lot of bounces off of that, but you're going to get the most bounces off this turret. So if you do get in a one-on-one situation, get as close, face hug your opponent, and only let them shoot at that turret, and I promise you they're going to be bouncing more than they pen on that. So let's see how that translates into gameplay. Alright guys, here is the first game. Supremacy on Rockfield, top tier, and running the 122mm gun. And you can see here in 1 second, our reload on this is 14.7 seconds. Yeah, that's a really long time for a medium tank. And that is why, if you're running this 122, you don't want to be on the front line. So what I'm going to do here is let my mediums push forward and just stay back, and there's the nice thing about this: 400 damage. It's going to take a couple shots for those T-44s to do that much damage. So to me it's a slightly different play style with the 122mm because every shot really matters. You miss one of these shots and it's like missing 2 shots in a row. And we get a nice one into the AMX CDC as he's running back and still trying to stay closer to the mid of the battle here. And see, it looks like they're pushing onto my right. Don't really want to be a part of that. And we've got an IS-3 here who appears to be one-on-one with a 2SH. So I'm going to go and give support. You see, we got a nice bounce from the right, but we don't bounce that IS. But we're doing the same amount of damage per shot. So we're going to back up, reload, and then come in here and try to finish off the IS. Make sure the shot counts. 383, a little bit on the low side from our 400 average. Nice roll might have finished him off, but anyway, we're up to 1,600 damage already. Team's done good. We've got 2 caps, but we're only up 1 tank at this point, and our T-20 obviously is in trouble over here. So get a shot into the rear, and in hindsight, probably should have switched over to HE. As you can see there, I would have been able to pen the back, certainly not the sides, and low profile tank like that, you don't want to be shooting that close to the tracks with HE, because most likely it's going to eat up any damage. You're just going to get splash damage. But we were able to back up far enough here on the Mod 1 that we'll get the kill shot before he can finish us off. 3-on-1 now, and I've got the IS-3D coming at me. So I'm going to use this tank here as cover, get a nice roll there for 3 consecutive shots with 500 damage. He looks like he might be on a long reload, but obviously I don't know that. Gonna go ahead and risk it here and get in here, try for the kill shot, and we just missed it. Finishes us off, but we're gonna go ahead and win this game. And you can see there 32-30 in damage, but never really in the front lines, helping out teammates on other heavies, and just picking apart the map. Look at all these gold tanks. Wow. Wargaming's doing something right. Anyway, so here we are on Dynasty Pearl as bottom tier. And we're going to initially go left. You can see that cruel twist and that Leo are way out in front of me now. Showing off their speed compared to my 50 kilometers per hour, and they've engaged in the T-34-2. For some reason the cruel twist did not go on in there. I'm not sure why, leaving that Leo to fight the T-54 one-on-one. We're going to get there just in time to see him put away by the other 2 guys. So we've just driven all the way across the map. VK 100-01 trying to shoot on the full run. No, that ain't going to work. Alright, now we're in a position where we can start getting some damage in. I was hoping to see the rear of something other than that 100-01P, but we'll switch back to AP and get a shot into his rear. He's looking. Was taken out before I could get my shot off, as that cruel twist came down in front of me. Our heavies have obviously done a good job here pushing around. Another shot there on the move is going to miss. So you're starting to see some of the downsides to this tank. You know, like I was saying in that first game, every shot really matters. So when you take a shot like I did on that VK 100 and someone else takes them out right before you, you've got to wait that almost 15 seconds for a reload. So we are, you know, halfway through this game and we've only done 400 damage. Get a shot into the back of the IS-3, and now we're one-on-one with a T-54 lightweight. So really just trying to back up as far as I can to allow myself time for a full reload, and then we can go and engage him. Not sure if he was aiming at me and missed, or was aiming at someone else. There's a nice bounce there. Willing to trade shots at this point, because obviously I'm doing twice as much damage almost as he is. Got him down to a one-shot, and our SU is going to turn around and finish him off, but pay the price for it. Snap in a quick shot on the IS-8. And now we're up to a respectable 2k damage. And you can see how quickly that happens when you've got a tank that does this much damage per shot. So we end up finishing that game with 2345 in damage, even with such a slow start. Alright guys, Normandy, yes, the new map. Everybody seems to really like this new map. We're here as bottom tier with the 100mm gun. Our reload is 9.2 seconds. And I feel you can be a little bit more aggressive, typical medium playstyle with this tank. But just be careful because you can't out DPM any of the other mediums at the tier. So you got to be really careful with that. So push on up here to the windmill and see if we can get any spots. T-34 pops up, and you can see a lot of my team down here. Maybe get a little close to the T-34. Probably should have stopped and let him go around me. He was there first, but was hoping he would let me go low ahead of him. But anyway, we get some shots in, push that T-34 back. Now we've got a TD sitting in our spawn area. And we've got one guy that's got all the way to their spawn. You can see them all rushing in on him now. But it's about this time I see we've got one red dot looking at the mini map coming in around behind us. There's a second one, and there is eventually going to be a third one. So it's at this point we really need to make a decision. Do we turn and fight those three, or do we push forward? So just looking at the clanmates I have ahead of me, I'm going to go ahead and push with them. Another one of those advantages to knowing some of the better players and better clans. It can help you make decisions like that. So T-54 is taken out. SU is up on the hill to my left. I'm coming up on the STI here. And he gets a nice shot in, obviously better gun depression. And I missed that lower plate. But we've got the speed of a medium here, and so we can do the COD. He's going to reverse his course, and so are we. It's obviously much faster if you're CODing in forward instead of trying to do it in reverse. But you're going to see we're going to miss a couple shots here in a second. We do bounce. So tier 9 heavy, like I said, you're going to bounce some shots. I'm trying to slide under his gun here. I don't know how that counted as a shot, but anyway, we bounced the side of the turret there. It's kind of disappointing. Take a shot on the AMX 50 and bounce. Must have been the IS-2 or T-54 maybe. I'm not sure who that was, but 4-on-2 now, and gonna come on back through the hills here using our medium speed. So I think you've kind of seen now over these games. Typical medium playstyle here with the 100mm gun, and you can certainly face hug and get a lot of bounces. But if you're with the longer reload 122mm gun, you want to play it totally different for the most part, where you can play it hold down in the midpoint, supporting your heavies, supporting your mediums, whoever's out in front. Come around here, you can see we're going to bounce the front of that T-54. So pen on this 100mm or either of these two guns really is not that great. But if medium playstyle is your thing, this tank is certainly serviceable and it's a lot of fun to play. Certainly that -5 degrees gun depression does not help. But we end up here doing 2491 in damage, 1 kill. Close to the top there, the IS-8. Here we are, top tier canal, and you can see we've got a void platoon on the opposite team there. So knowing this is going to be a tough game, I obviously want to point out to everyone that that's 2 of their top players over there. Hopefully everyone already knows that. The call is to go right, which I'm fine with here. Going to use our speed and try to get to the corner. Our VK does a great job getting down low into the canal here and just using his armor. We see that we've got an IS-3. I'm not going to shoot on the run. Very low chance, plus it would get me spotted. So we come up here and we're totally... the IS-3 just didn't see us and totally chunked that shot, to be honest with you. That shot should have gone closer to that lower plate. But instead we hit the upper sloped part of his hull and get the bounce there. So Tiger P way in the distance, and we're just not going to be able to pen that, especially over that long of a distance. So we've got the IS-3 backing down. One more shot into him. He's tracked in place, and AMX CDC, he did. Oops. You gotta make that count, dude. I got him stopped for you. But anyway, IS-3's taken out. So we're gonna push around a little bit more. Tiger P is just facing us right there. Tiger 2. Nope, we can't pen him from the front either. And that's the downside. Probably my biggest downside, besides the gun depression on this tank here. We got to aim for that lower plate, and our shot's just going to go a little bit too low there. So, again, no damage. But it's not a big of a deal with the 100mm and the 9.2 second reload time because, you know, 17 seconds on the other one. Tiger P is taken out. And then you have shots like this. Through that piping on that bridge, and we get a shot into the CDC. The Tiger's turned sideways, so we can shoot on the side there, no problems. It's just the front of a lot of these heavies that are going to be the trouble spots. It's a close game here, and you can see if he shows me that side of his turret there, we can pen on the side cheeks. So again, side cheek shot. So we switch over to APCR just to make sure that we get the kill shot. Now there's the Void platoon, and the AMX is just in the middle of them. We're able to get one shot into the Helsing, but he is going to be able to get behind those pipes there, and he's basically going to sit there until he disappears off of radar. So like I said, obviously a player that knows what he's doing. But the good thing is that the other half of their team is on the other side of the map here. So there's the Pershing and there's the CDC. So we can now flex back and try to get shots in on them. And I'll just go ahead and speed this up because I try to get up on the hill here, and obviously that engine is not powerful enough to go straight up the hill. We got to go up the less steep inclines, but we're not able to get a shot in, and our team does a great job of getting rid of him. It's about to poke out there. He's finished off. And now we got to head on right and get these Void players spotted up. And there they are. First shot misses. But I've got the hit points. So I've got almost 1,200 hit points. They have not even that much combined. So I'm going to push on in. And look at this shot on the move. This is total luck. Yeah, I'm willing to admit that was total luck. Get our first bounce there. Drop in and around on the Type 62. And like I said, face hug. Just get in their face, pointing that turret at them, and they will bounce a lot of shots. Now, I'm going to caveat this and saying I was playing on cellular Wi-Fi in this game, and just wasn't having, I was having difficulties a little bit with the fire button registering when I actually put it. So just trying to draw the CDC out. And like I said, right there, I mean, I was pushing the button, nothing happening. So we let him get away. And the same was on that Dumb Ways to Die game that I'm going to show here in a little bit. But anyway, CDC is going to try to make a run for it, but it's not happening. So, you know, this was a fun game. This was a very competitive game, something you're not seeing very much of these days, which is a little bit disappointing in my opinion. Some very, very lopsided games. But anyway, yeah, we can see we did 2,600 damage there, 2 kills. So, the last piece here I'm going to show you is just a clip from Canal. I had a team that they were all kind of camping here in the middle of the map, so I wanted to try to get in and get some spots, and I went through the buildings there, spotted up this SU, and I have no idea how this guy got behind me, but you can see a T-34 is behind me here, and he gets that first shot in, and reloading, and I know he's going to come back for a second shot. So I try to line it up. He gets his second shot in, but mine bounces. So here we are. I'm down hit points, obviously. He's at 1,400. I'm at 870. And, the reason I wanted to show you this clip is if you do end up getting in a 1v1, and there's a bounce there. So I've already spotted him 3 shots now. If you do get into a 1v1 situation, you really, really want to try to face hug and, point that turret at them and let them bounce shots like that. Now, it's not easy when you're in the water, moving around. He has the ability to back up. Luckily, he misses that shot. And he's actually going to do a good bit of damage to me here with the ram. But I'm fine with that because I want him to be close to me. He is actually doing me a favor by driving up the hill, making that slope on his front armor a little less effective. So you can see he bounces that last one, and I'm able to finish him off. So even though I started out half the hit points as him, we managed to out DPM him, even though he has a higher DPM than me. So just a little little tip there on 1v1. Just make sure you're getting in their face. Don't give them room to back up and get their gun depression down into your hull at all. So right there I showed you 2 different play styles for this tank. I really think the 122 millimeter makes this tank a little bit different. It's, in my opinion, kind of a hybrid of the poor man's T-34-2 and Type 59. It's got qualities of both of those tanks. Overall, it's not my favorite medium tank to play by far, but I'm interested to see where this line of mediums goes with all of this armor and these 122 millimeter guns. So that's why I'm going to keeping on with grinding credits, and we'll get there eventually. And remember, guys, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's greatly appreciated. Helps me get to my goal of 5,000. And as always, stay safe, get educated, not fingered, Littlefinger out.